This morning, ladies and gentlemen, I wasn't even going to do a podcast because I'm trying to tidy up and get my last things I need to get together before we head out to South Africa this morning. So say a prayer for us that the Lord be with us and keep us safe in our travels. But I saw a video from a Representative Gregory Meeks. He went to Ukraine, and I want you to hear exactly what he is saying. And what prompted me to make this podcast is that we got to keep having this conversation about our so-called black representation. Let's roll the clip.
That, I should say, heartbreaking trip that you saw streams of refugees coming across the border, women and children, primarily elderly men, not knowing whether or not they would see their fathers or husbands again because they were not allowed to cross the border, cold, hungry, disheveled, only having a suitcase or two, looking for food. It was very distressful in that regard to see people suffering, not knowing what their tomorrow is going to be back, whether or not they'll see their homes again. Some not knowing where they were going to stay. So they were in shelters, waiting to see if someone that they knew would come. I think what was inspiring with some, you saw some of the Polish people coming who did not know them, taking some and saying, you can stay in my house. But the human suffrage was devastating. And it's all because of the evil acts of one man. They did not ask for this. They did not, all of a sudden had to, life as they knew it is halted. Yeah. And so I got to tell you that many of us just about broke down and cried and looking at them and talking to them. The other aspect was we also met with the governor of Lviv, who came across. We met them in between the borders of Ukraine and Poland. Now, his resolve of saying that we will not give up to Putin, we will not give in, we will fight. Just help us with weapons. We will fight, and we will fight and defeat the evil man, Vladimir Putin. And he was so focused, so determined. He said, we don't need American soldiers on the ground. All we need is America's help in getting the defensive weapons and the lethal weapons that we need to defend ourselves. And I could do nothing other than just hug him because you could feel his determination in that manner. So, we also met, of course, with the foreign minister and had meetings also with some civilians. But it's tough listening to the stories and what human beings are going through right now.
So to recap, he went to Ukraine and he saw what was going on in Ukraine. He visited with the people. He said it's heartbreaking, it's devastating. He said that they definitely want to make sure they get everything that they need, whether it's weapons, food, money, whatever, right? I mean, we know this by the $13 billion of U.S. taxpayer money that went to Ukraine without a study, without a commission. So we know that. But he broke down crying. We have to have this conversation about this black representation in America. You see, we could say so much. We got to be real with ourselves in black America. We can talk about how bad the Democrats have been. Sure, we could talk about that. And that is a legitimate conversation to have. And we should have that conversation. But these black collaborators, and you remember, I want to keep teaching you to look into the eyes of these people when they're talking. And I want you to, when you hear them advocating for massa and crying for massa, really look into them. Look in their eyes and tell you the eye is the gateway of the soul. If you look into this man's eyes when he's talking, this man, once again, they all have this lost look about them. Because in order for you to have that much love and concern for massa like that, You traded your soul away because you can't love your people and love the slave master at the same time. You can't do that. No way you can do that. But your black representation has been doing this for more than 50 years. It's the reason why Black America don't get anywhere. Do you understand? Black America is stagnant, and Black America is steadily going down the toilet due to representation. Now, originally, why people in the civil rights generation thought representation matters is because they thought, and I mean, I have to be fair. If you really think about what the thought process was, okay, if I get Gregory here to go and be a congressman, Gregory comes from my neighborhood. He knows the struggles. He knows about the police. He knows about the white supremacy. He knows about everything that we deal with, the discrimination in housing, discrimination in education. So it's because he know all this coming from our neighborhood, when he go up there, he's going to fight for us because he come from where we come from. But that did not happen, because when you see these people being heavily supported by the Democrat Party, they're not working for black people. They can't, because the Democrat Party is never going to work for black people. It's just not. Now, you have others that say, oh, well, we have been loyal to that party. You have others say, oh, well, in a way, we kind of built that party. Let's call it what it is. Black folks didn't build the Democrat Party. Black folks have been the most loyal constituent. But if you look at the money that comes into the Democrat Party, black folks don't bring the money like that. And the corporations do that. The corporations actually give money to Democrats and Republicans. They make sure no matter who wins, they win. Okay? We don't do things like that. But we are the most loyal voting bloc for the Democrat Party. One thing other groups don't have versus what we have is that our politicians are sellouts. Our politicians will weep and cry and make sure to vote on Asian hate crime bills. They'll make sure to vote on Ukraine giving money, giving our tax dollars to them. But they will never weep and cry for you. And the only time they'll say they'll weep and cry for you and me is when, white mommy and daddy say, okay, it's okay to cry about this issue. Then they'll come out and say something, right? But they will never say anything without looking to the Democrat white mommy and white daddy. They're not there to represent us. And this is why I've always said that what's the point of having the CBC if it's not going to represent black people whatsoever? They have this little bourgeoisie class, right, in America. They all huddle up and get together, and they all making sure that they sell us down the river constantly. They don't care about none of us. The last, message that I made about Roland, like I said, Roland isn't the only one. The reason why I point out Roland sometimes is because Roland is kind of known. But there's many like Gregory here who's not Roland, okay, that actually is a congressperson, that actually has some sort of access, that can actually speak up and halfway try to do something, right, and advocate for black people, and they're not doing it. Black people will never get nowhere with the representation that we have. Sorry, we're never going to get nowhere. These people are really the reason why black folks are being cemented as the permanent underclass in America. Even people who come in this country as quote unquote refugees are at a higher status than black Americans. And the only reason why is because representatives like Gregory Meeks here, right? Representatives like him is the reason why we are in this position. You understand? This guy will advocate for every group coming into this country. This guy will solidify it. This guy will speak for it. He will even talk down on black people that say, hey, wait a minute. Hold on, brother. We got issues and problems here that we need to solve. What are you doing? This is the guy that's speaking against you. This is the guy behind the scenes. And like I say, he's just one of many. So I'm not just pointing him out, right? He's the guy behind the scenes that will say, man, look, we're going to talk about HR 40. We ain't trying to get them no money. They don't need no money. They got enough money as it is. You know, behind the scenes, that's the people that's cutting your throat behind the scenes. As long as we have this black representation, black America will never get anywhere. And black America, you know, we talk about a lot of different things. And I know the conversation has been, people have been bringing that conversation up about disrespectful, people coming in from that's black immigrants, right? From the Caribbean, from the African continent, wherever. But y'all, I got to keep it a 100 with you. Okay. The majority of the people that's been selling us out has been these black representatives. Have a few of them come from other places? Sure. But the majority of them come from America. The majority of them have our lineage. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. And these people, along with that black preacher, is allowed to skate by in our community, and they're not pressed as they should be pressured by the black community. They're not stayed on about that. These people constantly, I'm telling you, these people are our biggest problem. We can't actually actively deal with white supremacy like talking about when you have these Stevens, okay? All of them are the Steven from Django Unchained. All of them are. It ain't, tell me the black representative up there that's banging for black folk. Show me who's doing it. Show me the one that's talking the way I talk about black people up there. You know good and well you're not going to find it. None of them. None of them. Some of you even make excuses for them, say, well, you know, they can't really be doing that because, well, how is it that the AAPI caucus, they fought so hard for their own people that they actually presented a bill for them to get the hate crime bill. They came from their caucus. They didn't come from the CBC. Or what about the Hispanic caucus, how they fight for their community? They have so many different caucuses up there outside of the CBC, and they're getting things done for their community. Am I upset by that? No, because that's what they're supposed to do. What I'm upset about is that the CBC is the largest caucus on the Hill. And they're the most wasteful. They're the least powerful. They do nothing for black people. But when Massa sick, they sick. When Massa hurt, they hurt. When Massa weep, they weep. This is why we don't get anywhere as black people. These same people only want to champion low-income programs to keep people, impoverished in our community instead of championing business creation, something that can really get black people ahead, instead of championing, skilled trades, something that we need for nation building, right? These people don't champion those things. They don't talk about our schools and how our schools in America is just freaking failing. They're not focused on that. Why isn't this guy crying about Ma'Khia Bryant and the police that got off about that? Why isn't he crying about that? Why isn't his heart hurt about that? Well, why his heart isn't hurting about the George Floyd bill and how black folks still don't have protection in America with these race soldiers? Why isn't he weeping about that? They had a young brother not too long ago, we know in Minnesota, they'll sleep on his couch and got gunned down, and it wasn't even looking for him. Why isn't he crying about that? Why isn't he weeping about that? An innocent young man sleeping on a couch in the house, and the race soldiers could just go in there and gun you down, and you're not screaming, you're not yelling, you're not demanding. I mean, the CBC is supposed to be outraged right now. Outrage. Amir Locke. They're not saying nothing. And notice all your Boule Democrat shills, they're not saying nothing either about that. Because all of them are lockstep with the Democrat Party. But like I said, it's not even just about the Democrat Party. This is supposed to be your black representation. What you need black representation for at this point? What do you need it? Hell, at this point, if it was a person of another group but actually spoke our language and actually would do something about it, I'm willing to even support that at this point, because what's the point of supporting them? All they do is sell out. All they do is sell out. Because to them, long as they get white validation and some checks, that's all that matters to them. And notice they stay in these positions a long time. And the reason why they stay in these positions a long time is because it goes back to that decision, Citizens United decision, where they say corporations are people too. And now what you have, especially in politics, is that you have corporations with endless amounts of cash giving money to people like this guy here. The average American in our community cannot compete with a corporation to give millions upon millions of dollars to this guy to make sure this guy and the rest of them sell us out. They'll let them come out there and be performative, and they'll make it sound good. But at the end of the day, nothing is going to happen for our community with these people representing us. If you want to make a change, the people got to come from the soil. The people have to be speaking the language, and it's going to have to take grassroots efforts to support them financially, because I've seen people support things, for all over the place. Right. But when it comes to actual, hey, let's go ahead on and get some proper representation, those particular people who will fight for a struggle to raise money, because they're not going to get that Democrat money. It's not going to happen, period. Anybody's going to advocate for black folks going to have to support them. See, I liked how the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had it at one point in time. See, we don't have that no more, where the nation would go to these black businesses and say, hey, man, you got to support what the worker was going on out here. Y'all buying all this expensive stuff. Hey, support the community. And they will collect that money too. See, I would love that, to have something like that today, where they go to every black celebrity, every black business, and say, hey, man, we got to support, sister LaSherica over here. She running for Congress. So, she come directly from us. And so we know what she going to do. So we need all of black America to support her. So we need to go ahead on and donate the love offering, man. We need to come to get that. You know what I'm saying? And nobody be bucking against it. I ain't worried about that. They ain't got nothing to do with me. I made this money. Shoot, man. While these other groups, they do that. All their businesses donate. Their businesses give to political action committees. They do all that sort of thing because they understand that we're not going to get nowhere without being political. And anybody that's telling you not to be political, like, listen, politics is something that no matter what country you go to, I don't care if you go to a black country, politics is something that you got to deal with, period. And you need to be involved with it and be engaged, because what the problem is black folk, we fight in so many different battles, but we're not really fighting what's concentrated. If I had to control black America and everybody would listen to me no matter what they are, they say, listen, Phil, you tell us what to do and we'll do it. One of the first things I would tell you politically, what we have to do is get rid of all the black representation that we have, all of them. None of them could be spared. None of them. Because they have proven they're not worth a drop of piss for black people. So they all got to go. And at the same time, we have to look in those communities and replace them with people that come from the soil. And after that, it would have to be mandatory that everybody give $100 to that particular person. And we'll go keep donating $100 to them until the time they get elected. And we'll have to do that because we know we got to replace these people with people from the soil. Then if we actually had a real CBC, right, then we could sit back and relax and say, okay, now we got somebody to represent us up there. Now we know we got somebody to bang that drum about reparations, bang on these Democrats, bang on everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because now we got proper representation. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what they don't want. See, the biggest problem in black America is you really don't want to get that involved, unfortunately. Not a lot of you that listens regularly, but people that may come by and just because they see this topic, a lot of you don't want to get involved at all. You just want white mommy and white daddy to do everything while you sit back and you just want a job and, You could just pay your bills and, have a good time on the weekend and maybe take a vacation here and there. You good. You don't want to have to worry about the heavy lifting in America. But I told y'all the time is going to come where the white man not going to be able to help you. And you're going to have to help yourself. And that's the day many of you going to lose your mind. And unfortunately, what I'm about to say, based on what I'm seeing today, many of you, when you get to that difficulty and it gets so bad, some of you don't have the heart. And some of you will take yourself out of here because you just don't have the heart. You don't have that courageous spirit that's always been in our lineage. I don't know what happened to black folk. Well, black folks even considering things like that. We have always been the strongest, most enduring, courageous people. Listen, slavery should have wiped us out. It should have. But yet we're still here. So it lets you know that you have an enduring power that no other group has. So every other group that halfway deal with some problems, they run. They run from their issues and problems. Now, I will give black South Africans credit too, because black South Africans didn't run. They stayed. They fought. And I was doing the research. Black South Africans hardly even immigrate here. But we dealt with the same issues and problems of white supremacy. That's why we have a definite kinship more than any other African group on the continent. I mean, of course, I love everybody, but black South Africans, they get it, and we have a shared history. So they didn't run from anything. Everybody's running to South Africa trying to go over there. That's why some of them are complaining. But as long as we have this bad representation, folks, we will never get ahead. We will never get ahead. And if we're not going to deal with this representation that we have, and we're not going to get them out the paint, and we're not going to remove them, because think about it. Okay, you got Clyburn coming up, right, to be elected. Everybody think Clyburn's a problem. But then the young brother that's running against Clyburn, people now, because, I'm going to keep it 100. Me, I don't care. The young brother's running against Clyburn. I interviewed him on my show, Marcel Dixon. Some people, don't like him, not because of what he says, not because he advocates for. Some people in our community don't like him because of, his personal life, because he's, LGBT. I don't care if a person's LGBT. I said that a long time ago. That's not my business. I'm not their judge. I don't care what they do personally in their life. If you fighting for black people and you serious about that, and you want to roll up your sleeves and get this oppressor off our back, man, look, we can fight together. We can fight together. Everybody's not going to agree with everything. You think that in the Democrats and Republicans, they ain't got LGBT that's fighting for white supremacy on both sides? We've seen that. They all up in there. So some people that's like, oh, I'm not going to support them because of this reason. Man, look, some people are just, so freaking judgmental. And like I said, I'm a traditionalist. That's my position. I'm always going to be a traditionalist. But at the same time, I understand that all our people is not going to be traditionalists like me. And when it comes to certain things, right, they're not the black people that's part of the LGBT. They're not pushing all this stuff in agenda. That's the white LGBT doing that. I know that by just watching what's going on, speaking to people that's black LGBT. You know what I'm saying? Because I heard the brother do a Twitter space addressing that issue. And like I said, when the brother came on my show, I was like, man, this brother's it. This is the dude y'all want to pick right here for Clyburn. This is the dude. But Clyburn, the way people are acting, Clyburn to get right back in there. That's why he arrogant and he said, well, if you want my seat, come take it. Because Clyburn not worried about it. Because unfortunately, the majority of people that's going to vote in that election, they cool with being selling us down the river. They cool because we have a group of people in our community that's just stuck on stupid. Because they just don't want to be bothered. They toward the end of their life. They ain't worried about what's gonna happen to y'all. They ain't worried. They just want a peaceful death. That's it. But y'all gonna be stuck here with those issues and problems way after people like Clyburn are gone. You can't complain on people that want to say, well, I don't like the person because of this reason, or I'm not going to, interview the person because of that reason. I'm like, man, look, I'm different about those things, man. I'm so different about that. what people do in their personal life, and people to me bring up God and all that. Let me tell you something. Didn't the Lord say he without sin cast the first stone? I guarantee you, if I comb through your life, I could find sin and unrighteousness too. Ain't now one of us can cast a stone if we really want to get down to it. None of us can. But I look at ideology when it comes to politics. I look at how you gonna fight, right? So everybody should be supporting that brother. Everybody. I think I'm the only one that interviewed the brother. Now I can think about it. You know, people complain all day about Clyburn and the Democrats, and nobody even interviewed that brother too much from what I see. I'm just calling it what it is. Why nobody want to interview that brother? For what? I ain't heard him say nothing that was suspect. I ain't heard the brother like say anything that's like, man, I don't know about that. I ain't heard him. He always advocating for Black Americans. You know what I'm saying? I'm just bringing him up because the Clyburn thing. But until y'all get up off of that emotionalism and religion that y'all own and understand that your religion and your relationship with God is personal and you got to be responsible for yourself at the end of the day and how you gonna get yourself into the arms of the Lord. You're not responsible for what other people are doing. You're responsible for your kids and how you raise them. You know, you're responsible for the woman you pick. You're responsible for that. You know, because the woman you pick, you know, can lead your kids and you into righteousness or sin. But, you know, yeah, some people worry about the wrong thing sometimes. I look at the bigger picture. And we got to look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is this Black representation is helping Massa keep us underneath the water and keep us in a permanent underclass position. But with that being said, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the podcast this morning. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. That way you know when the next podcast will be coming up. Make sure to click the like button so you can help us spread the content, you know, in the YouTube algorithm. We need y'all help with those sort of things. You know, share with people because you know how it is when you're speaking for Black people. That's not really the most popular thing out there. Now you're trying to destroy Black folks, and you know, if you're making content saying Black women are horrible, Black men are horrible, you know, the algorithm will always treat you right. But you know, when you're speaking up for Black people, we need your help. So thank you in advance for you know, doing that. And also we want to thank everyone who has been supportive, you know, of our platform and any other projects we have asked you to support. So definitely, you know, what we'll say is, you know, I probably won't get to South Africa until tomorrow night or so. So hopefully, if I'm not tired enough, I can work on a podcast and get one up for y'all, you know, as soon as I get a chance. So just bear with me. I'll try to get some podcasts definitely going while I'm there. So thank you for listening and see you next time.